pretty hard to be jealous of a 12-year-old.
Spirit here in Kentucky. It's really good to be at the best high school in Kentucky. That's really good. I would like to introduce a couple more people from the family. I want to introduce my son, Dr. Rand Paul, and his wife, Kelly, sitting here. My wife Carol is with us today. But it is a real delight to be here. It's real hard for me to turn down any invitation when I get to talk to the young people. Because when I think back on what's happened here in the last year and a half, it's been rather astounding to me to see the response from the young people around the country. And all of a sudden, I have come to realize that the young people do care about the future of this country and are very willing to participate in trying to change it. And I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot of things that you young people already knew. You know, I learned something about the internet this last year. I learned about Facebook and Meetup and all kinds of other things, but all I know is it's a great political equalizer. If you don't get on TV and you don't get your word out, all you have to do is get on the internet and people find out what's going on. So I have learned a lot. I've also learned a lot during this past year about some of the TV programs. Because I have to admit my ignorance, there was people like Jon Stewart and this Colbert guy and so I've been on those various programs, and they've been very entertaining and helpful, but I wasn't ever much of a TV buff, so that was rather new for me. But I guess the most amazing thing to me in the last year has been that I am now a lot more optimistic than I was a year and a half ago. Yeah. I've been speaking out about the problems this country's faced for a long time, since the early 70s, because I've been interested in long-term economic policy, long-term protection of individual liberties, long-term, what is the effect of our foreign policy. And I've been pessimistic in thinking that, you know, we're going in the wrong direction. And I was, you know, very reluctant to do this. I was not anxious to do it. And I argued with those close friends of mine who said that I should run for the presidency because they need to hear this message. And I tried to explain to them, I said, I don't think it's time yet. It takes a long time to change a whole generation of individual or a whole country. And that those who do remember what it was like when America was much different, where the government was there to protect our liberties and not to run our lives and run the economy and police the world, but there weren't that many. I was afraid there wouldn't be very many people left in the remnant and didn't know how the young people would respond. But let me tell you what I've learned in this past year, that there's a large remnant of people in this country who truly care and are willing to work and strive for the things that we believe in, as well as the reception we receive from young people. So there's every reason in the world for us to be more optimistic about our country than ever before. In the early 70s, when I first went into politics, it was driven mostly by an interest in economic policies, because we had undermined our monetary system back then, and we had very bad times in the 1970s due to the fact that we spent like crazy in the 1960s. And they told us back then it didn't matter, guns and butter, we can just spend, just borrow the money, print the money, or whatever is necessary, it won't all cost that much. Well, in the 1970s, it cost a lot. And you young people won't remember, but others in this audience may well remember what the 1970s were like, and they were very difficult times. But here we are doing the same thing all over again. Guns and butter. Believe that you can spend endlessly in Washington, D.C. Anybody that wants anything, they can have it, and keep fighting wars around the world, doing all these things. And quite frankly, the American people are waking up, because now Now, although a lot of people in Washington still have their head in the sand, the American people now are saying, right now today, 90% of the people in this country today say we're going in the wrong direction. Our goal in this campaign and everything we do in the future and the part of the revolution is to make sure this country gets going in the right direction. And it's not all that complicated. I talk a lot about our problems, but I'm always amazed and impressed that by the time we finish a rally and a speech and talk to the individuals who've been there, most people come away optimistic and energized and want to do something. And I've always marveled at that because it seems like I talk a lot about the problems. And of course, I do talk about what we should do. And it finally dawned on me that one of the reasons why you can talk about the negative problems, the problems that we have, and then end up with optimism, is you can't solve your problems unless you admit you have a problem. You know, in medicine, we can't treat a drug addict until that individual knows he or she has a problem. And then you can help them. And a country is like that too. We've been addicted to big government, spending and deficits and borrowing and printing money, telling other people what to do, cradle to grave, nanny state, this sort of thing. And now we're starting to realize we're going in the wrong direction, so the people are realizing that. So the optimism comes from the fact that we know we have a problem and we can offer some answers. I believe very sincerely that we have gotten into the problems that we have today and the problems that we're dumping on you young people. You're inheriting a mess. And the reason we have gotten in this problem is our generations and others in the last 100 years have failed to have the proper respect for the Constitution. That is what we need to restore freedom in this country, is understand and respect our Constitution. Never was a perfect document. It was probably one of the best, if not the best, agreement between the people and a government. And there are two issues involved here. Is it a good Constitution? And I think most Americans would say yes. Members of Congress all take an oath to obey it, but they don't really take it seriously. There's this issue, is it a good Constitution? But the other issue is, do the politicians follow the rules? And I think we have two problems there. One, they ignore the Constitution. That is where the real problem comes from. So if you can neglect the Constitution in certain areas, let's say, oh, well, it's good. The Second Amendment sounds like a good idea. We do have the right to defend ourselves, but that's not very important, so let's ignore it. We won't repeal it, we'll just ignore it. Well, if you can ignore the Second Amendment and the Ninth Amendment and the 10th Amendment and then the Fifth Amendment, then all of a sudden, what's left of the Fourth Amendment? And there's not much left of the Fourth Amendment. Our privacy is being invaded endlessly, always with the idea that we're going to take care of you. The government's going to come and take care of you, and that's why you don't deserve your privacy anymore. And I don't think that's necessary. I've come to the conclusion that you never have to sacrifice liberty to be safe and secure. It's just not necessary.